The two books written about Belle Vue, Looking Back at Belle Vue and the Belle Vue Story, are still available. Looking Back at Belle Vue is available from Willow Publishing, 36 Moss Lane, Tipperley in Cheshire. The Belle Vue Story, also written by Robert Nichols, can be purchased from Neil Richardson, 88 Ringley Road, Stoneclough, near Ratcliffe in Lancashire. A superb music song cassette, written and produced by Glenn Richards, entitled My Belle Vue, is available from Glenn at 13 Shakespeare Road, Bredbury, Stockport. Telephone number 0161 494 9049. Local history videos make great presents for all the family. Bygone Salford, Bolton, Wigan, Manchester and many more can be purchased from Roy Newsham, 129 Lord Street, Kersley, near Bolton. Hello there and welcome to the programme. Now, one would have thought after 146 years of Manchester's history to be a little bit more to show you of the Belle Vue Zoological Gardens these days than just a few bits of rubble and ash from the floor of what was once the famous King's Hall, which is where I'm standing now. Well, happily you, the public at large, have come forward once again with your own memories, stories and of course cine-film of the old complex to enable us once again to enjoy the history, some of the history of the Belle Vue Zoological Gardens.
If ever I turn the page of life, I recall passing years like they were only yesterday. Whenever I get the time to breathe, I recall the memories, the days of yesteryear. So many a memory fades to the corners of my mind. I can always recall this place, eyes of fun. It's good to remember how we spent those years gone by. Then I live again, remembering moments spent with you. Whenever I feel the need to leave the present for the past, I return into my mind. Should ever I lose the things I see from the depths of memory, it'll be the end of me. So many a memory fades to the corners of my mind. I can always recall this place, the ties that bind. It's good to remember how we spent those years gone by.
Hopefully there wasn't a maniac.
It's been a bit quiet round here tonight. I thought there must be something good on the telly.
Yeah, we were supposed to be playing at a dance, but all the girls started crying and everybody was sent home.
Playing?
I'm in a group. Well, it's better than living in that grotty caravan with woodworm in your socks.
Caravan's alright. My pension.
What do you mean?
I rented out as a knocking shop.
Mike, want to join us? We need a road manager.
I've got a good job here.
Yeah, but you'll never make a million, never get rich.
I'm not smart like you.
You'd like the life, all the money, the birds.
Like tonight, eh?
Robert, we had a brief glimpse there as to what Belle Vue looked like in the 20th century, but what did it all look like 100 years or so before that?
Well, we got a good idea from having a look at the 1895 guidebook, which has this wonderful panoramic layout of Belle Vue. It's got three entrances: the main Hyde Road entrance here, the entrance at the Lake Hotel, and the Longsight entrance down here on the right. And you can see a whole group of buildings here around the main ballroom, the museum, Lion House, all these buildings built in the 1850s and 1860s, and several buildings over here sort of built in the 1870s and 80s. The Monkey House, the Elephant House, the Sea Lion House, the Penguin House.
The Longsight entrance, constructed in 1851 at a cost of £1,000, was situated on Redgate Lane. Above the entrance was a ballroom with a capacity of 500. It was built in the same style as the nearby Belle Vue Jail, which was later demolished. The Longsight entrance survived in one form or another, almost until the day the whole complex closed down.
This idea that Belle Vue was the site of the jail is actually a misunderstanding. The Belle Vue Jail itself was next door to Hyde Road, but closer to the city centre, and it was certainly not part of the Belle Vue site.
Now, how big a site was that, what we're looking at there, in terms of, acreage and so on?
Well, by the time Belle Vue had developed to this extent, we were talking about a site of nearly 70 acres.
Because there were plans for it to be extended all the way down Hyde Road. How far did they get along with that? As far as they followed?
That was an idea that came much later in time. It was suggested by the City Labour Party in the closing days of the war, and they had a grand idea of extending Belle Vue all the way down Hyde Road as far as Ardwick Green. It would have been an absolutely massive site if that plan had come to fruition.
And what other attractions do you think would have been in that area? Would it have been like a sort of a style mill country park or something like that?
I don't think so. They talked about having things like planetariums and swimming pools with wave machines in, and railways running around the site.
Just after the turn of the century, one of the new rides to appear in the amusement park was the Figure 8 toboggan, introduced by James Jennison. This became one of Belle Vue's first main roller coaster rides, and was situated near the Maze and Paddock House.
Yes, except that in the 20th century you saw over here in the front of the picture the development of a larger scale amusement park, and of course this athletic ground here was eventually replaced by the Speedway Stadium.
After the takeover of Belle Vue in 1925, some of the Jennison's buildings were demolished to make way for new attractions in the rapidly expanding amusement park. These included the Caterpillar, Whirlpool, the Whip, Jack and Jill, and a set of dodgems. The flying seaplanes were particularly popular. The miniature railway first appeared at Belle Vue at Whitsuntide in 1928. The line, Its rolling stock were bought second-hand, having been previously at the Saracen's Head public house near Warburton, Lynn, in Cheshire. Additional track work was added to the Parkside station, next to the King's Hall, enabling 2 trains to be run for a while. With Belle Vue still going through a transitional period, some investments like the Lancashire Cotton Pageant and the Broughton Rangers rugby team simply lost the company money. But Belle Vue was still a great day out for its millions of visitors.
Take my hand and come to my world, for the autumn leaves can dry. A place that never should have faded into the blowing winds of time. Many eyes have seen in my world, generations stood in line. So take my hand as we remember those brighter days of summertime, and we'll live again our favorite moments in this wonderland of mine. Forget the sands of time now, stay, and we must lay down our
During the Second World War, the stadium was often used for displays and marching events, like this one portrayed on this extract from a film made by the RAF Film Unit in 1944.
Attention!
Sit down, please. Firstly, I want to welcome you to the Royal Air Force. Many of you waited a long while for this day. Now it's arrived. The training you will receive will be the best that human science and ingenuity can make it. You'll only be at this centre for a few days, but those days will be devoted to the first requisite of flying training.
Later that year, an official US Army Forces band made a visit to Manchester, including a concert at the King's Hall.
The famous King's Hall at Belle Vue Park in Manchester, the home of the great Halley Orchestra, was the scene of one of the American band's most spectacular performances. Crowds thronged the huge auditorium for the concert. As we join the afternoon concert at King's Hall, Sergeant Victor Babin, talented Russo-American pianist, is about to give his rendition of Mendelssohn's Capriccio Brillante.
the Second World War came along, how did sort of Belle Vue survive as a complex? I mean, particularly the zoo and the animals and so on.
At the start of the Second World War, Belle Vue had a circuit of animals. Many people gave their animals to the zoo because they felt that the zoo would have preferential treatment in the supply of foodstuffs. Very soon, however, that proved not to be the case, and a lot of animals had to be persuaded to eat unsuitable food. Yeah. The sea lions were coaxed to take strips of beef soaked in cod liver oil, and they apparently thrived on this, but they later died of stomach ulcers.
So a lot of animals then therefore didn't survive then?
Yes, a lot of animals didn't survive. Birds of paradise died, penguins died, and many other animals died too.
Of course, there had to be the staff there to look after the animals, but I mean, they must have been in short supply as well.
Yes, most of the zookeepers were actually called up for war work, and inexperienced staff had to be taken on.
But the complex, did keep going, didn't it?
The complex did keep going, and it prided itself on keeping going its own circus and its own speedway, and they were the only ones that operated in this country throughout the Second World War.
After the war, Belle Vue was probably at its peak, with the famous zoo being the top attraction. Here we can see some sailors visiting this small giraffe enclosure, which was later enlarged following the demolition of the old Jolly Buffy Bar. Belle Vue's famous firework displays were resumed in 1946 on the central island of the small lake. Unlike the pre-war displays, they no longer used a vast army of actors to reenact some battle scene from history. The next day, a ladies' football match took place as Manchester battled it out against Barnsley. 4 players were booked and 2 sent off in a fiery encounter. The stadium would often stage such events to keep the crowds coming in to Belle Vue. The Belle Vue Circus was also extremely popular under legendary ringmaster George Lockhart. This circus show was filmed by the Mancunian Studios in 1947.
Wash your face and comb your hair, going to Belle Vue. I made a picnic in a bag, enough for me and you. Catching number 53 stops outside the gate. So pull your socks up and tie your shoes, we're going to the lake. It's what Mom said before we left, now we're here as you see. She thinks I'm going to hold her hand, she must be kidding me. I'm big enough to walk alone, and I'm always very good. More importantly than that, I've got the bag of food. I'm off to see the animals that live here in the zoo. I watch them feed the penguins and giraffes and camels too. While I stand and watch them, there's a sandwich here for me. Try and save one for my mom, she might get hungry. The lions stand and look at me, I wonder why they do. Perhaps they've seen my mother and they're scared of her too. But suddenly I realize, why look at me they do. They've seen a sandwich in my hand, they want my bag of food. I'm off to see the monkeys, the apes and chimpanzees. I think I'll have a sandwich first, in case they've not had tea. It's not that I don't want to share, you know I'm always good. But I bet my mom's getting hungry, through like a picnic food. I think I'll buy a drink of milk, how much will it cost? I wonder where my mom's gone, I bet she thinks I'm lost. And there'll be trouble when she sees upon my face a grin, 'cause I've just thrown the empty picnic bag into a rubbish bin. Well, I've just thrown the empty picnic bag into a rubbish bin. Well, I've had a great day at Belle Vue, I hope that mother has too.
Well, while you're enjoying your memories of Belle Vue, we're here with a couple of friends on Gorton Market talking about their own memories. Hello. Hello. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Right, good. We were just talking about people's personal memories, really, of what they did in Belle Vue and
Used to be
what
great.
was going
Used to
on.
go Sundays.
Yeah.
We took the children when they were young.
Nearly every Sunday.
Yeah, plenty of
Used to
animals.
go boating,
Yeah.
animals, trip round the
Yeah.
animals.
Yeah.
We used to go for dinner in the Palm Court.
Yeah.
That was next to the entrance on the front to
Yeah.
Hyde Road.
Yeah. What sort of meals did they serve?
Oh, it was great.
So,
Custard was slightly burnt occasionally.
We were born actually on the road that's still up
right. Yeah.
opposite Belle Vue, well opposite Showcase now.
Yeah.
It used to be Palm Court.
Palm Court. Yeah. Was that a restaurant?
Pub.
A
pub. All right.
Yeah,
It's a pub.
there were
Yeah.
restaurants.
Yeah.
Oh.
I worked in the cafe during the day
Yeah.
and in the bar at the ballroom at night.
Yeah.
From being 16 till I was 20.
Yeah.
Uh,
Was it very busy?
Oh,
Always?
mad busy,
Yeah.
mad busy, because
Yeah.
used to get train loads come.
Yeah.
They got off at Ashbury Station,
Yeah.
walked down Belle Vue Street to Belle Vue every Saturday, every Sunday, all through the summer. It was fantastic.
Yeah. And what was the price of drinks like then? Was it?
It was 10p for a pint of bitter, 9p for a pint of mild, 11 pence halfpenny for a pint of mixed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shandy was 6p.
What
Lemonade
about
was a
the
penny.
ladies' drinks, the sheriff, was that a bit dearer?
Half a crown.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Half a crown for a gin and lime.
On Good Friday, you could go in there and the queue used to start at the entrance of Belle Vue, which was the Palm Court, and go as far as the railway station, which was past the Lake Hotel. You know, and there was, once you got on that stall, there was no way you could come off because you couldn't even get through the crowds. There was that many.
What's the pin between them, could you?
But the morning after, on the Good Friday, on the Saturday morning, you see loads of kids, and they'd all be under the bobs. And what they was doing was looking for the 2 bobs and the half crowns that had dropped out the pocket. There's plenty of them. And you could get a jug of tea at Mrs. Martin's and the various sweets, but they had a good canteen. We used to say they used to eat the dead lions, but I don't know it's true. And I don't think I don't think that was
and
true.
I remember on the dart stall when all the children used to come on the dart stall and they used to give them coconuts. And if they didn't win, they used to go, I said, oh, they're not going to go away with without anything. So I used to give them a coconut every time, even if they won or not. Give them a coconut each. And the Belle Vue manager came along to the stall later on, Mr. Sharples, Ken Sharples, and he said, Pat, I said, yes, he said, please don't give the children any more coconuts. He said they'd taken them up to the monkey house and thrown them out. And he said, and they're knocking them out. He said, don't give any more coconuts.
Yeah, the monkey ram. All the monkeys used to run there.
It was the Wall of Death, I remember that.
What was that?
It was like a round tub.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like a, say 40 foot high, and it was all lined with timber, and there was motorbikes inside it, and they was going round and round on the horizontal, and travelling up and down the wall. Wall of Death, you see.
Well, they had all the fireworks.
Fish and chips in Belle Vue was 6p in 1950. Scratchings, if you wanted them on top of your fish, you got them for nothing. So some people used to just go and ask for scratchings when they'd had a day out and they'd no money left. They had the bobs that went for years and years and years. It was the best thing going. It was better than Blackpool and the Scenic Railway. Belle Vue.
It being quite sedate, a scenic railway, but apparently it was.
It was brilliant, brilliant,
fast as well,
brilliant,
fast
absolutely
moving.
brilliant. I've had some good times in Belle Vue.
You couldn't afford to go to Blackpool, you went to Belle Vue.
You couldn't afford to go in Belle Vue. What you used to do, you used to wait while all these crowds were going in, and you went in with them. You know, you just went in as though you was one of the party.
In the fair. I suppose I did when I was a child, because I mean, I've always done when I was a child. The Dobby horses. And the Delta Skelter and the figure 8. Oh, yes.
There was a caterpillar. Do you remember that one?
Oh, well, yes.
The ghost train.
But there's that figure 8 that used to go down. Well, I used to like that. Well, being a child, I used to have a lot of pleasure in things like that, didn't you? So, it's all done now. What have we got now? Bricks and mortar.
That's replaced all of it.
They're just building all the time.
Entertainment there in Belle Vue.
And the wrestling, the dancing, the full days. Because that's where Jimmy Savile started.
Well,
he started in Manchester, didn't
Was it the plaza in
No,
Manchester?
it was the plaza upstairs. Then he went to Belle Vue, Jimmy Savile.
Jimmy Savile, yeah.
And then he started
Top
top
10.
10.
Yeah. Have the animals or any... But I've heard about a tiger, I believe you call it.
Oh, that's what they did it here, yes.
Yeah.
They crossed between the tiger and lion.
Yeah.
And it was shaped like a tiger, but the stripes on it were very weak.
Yeah,
You couldn't take it for anything else.
Yeah.
But it was good.
Yeah. And of course all the dancing, they had the dance bands
And they had, inside there they had Benelli's band.
Yeah.
Beautiful floor, sprung.
Yeah.
I used to do a lot of dancing there in the life.
Yeah.
And my sister as well. It's a wonderful floor.
Yeah.
You move with it, the horse seats to move with you.
Yeah.
It was terrific.
Such as a spider lady in there.
Yeah.
The girl with two heads. And
But that's what he went into after, you see, from
What it was a
into
girl
London. He went
with a head
to
through a
striptease
thing.
then.
Yeah.
And a leg sticking out the other end. I could say something, but it's seen it on video, I wouldn't say it.
better not.
I'm better not to say it. No.
Yeah, and it was very, very good.
And with the good tippers.
You're joking. People have got a tip, yeah. Give you a tip for it, dog. And that'd run forever.
Yeah.
Robert, looking around at some of the sort of oddities of Belle Vue, in the zoo particularly, the gibbon cage, that had quite a bit of sort of history and a few stories attached to it.
Yes, one of the important ones was the fact that if you look at it here on this photograph, the animal house itself was right slap bang in the middle of the cage. And of course this created problems for the keepers whenever they wanted to take one of the gibbons out to have medical attention. Because what would tend to happen is that the gibbon would go and hide in the centre house, and all the other gibbons would attack the keepers as they tried to get the gibbon out of the central house. Eventually they solved it, because when this gibbon cage was moved in the mid-1950s and placed in another location within Belle Vue, they decided to put the central house, in fact, on the edge of the gibbon cage, and that solved the problem.
Yeah. And there was another story or problem with the Monkey Mountain, wasn't there?
Yes, behind the gibbon cage here you can see the Monkey Mountain, which was surrounded by a moat. The problem was that the moat tended not to be wide enough, and the monkeys did escape, especially when the water in the moat froze over. The Belle Vue people actually solved this problem by one year when two animals were escaping. They caught them within sight of the rest of the monkey colony on the central mountain, and they consigned both these monkeys into a box, and that solved the problem as far as escaping monkeys were concerned.
There were many changes to the site in the 1950s as Belle Vue continued to be modernised. The new Monkey-Rama display in the amusement park. New exhibitions were built and improvements to the King's Hall were also carried out. Along with the children's zoo were the ruminant enclosures. The monkey house was also revamped. Belle Vue in its history had many hero figures. One of them was Jack Pye, who was the king of wrestling during the late 1940s and the early 1950s. Here we see Pye in action during a training routine filmed in a local gym.
Fair fight. I don't want any punching. And no interference in the ropes. When I say break, break. And when I say go back to your corners, back to your corners. Come out fighting.
Take it easy.
Take it easy. Get him off.
One of the key marching band displays around Manchester were often performed by the Church Lads and Girls Brigade. Here we see them marching around the city. Then into Belle Vue. On this day, the 20th of June, the girls and boys parade at a regimental review. The following day, the Harlem Globetrotters entertained the crowd during an exhibition game of basketball in the stadium. Belle Vue prepares for another day. The circus performers rehearse their acts in the stadium on a hot and sunny afternoon. Stan Ogden of Coronation Street has a look too. Out on the track, Dent Oliver prepares the speedway track for a practice session. Dick Fisher of the Aces puts a few practice laps in. Fisher, although out of form, was selected for this England side as they met Russian in a team match, a meeting that England won. Belle Vue Aces also had a link-up with the Russian club side, Leningrad, and the teams used to meet in this special annual event. Meanwhile, over in the King's Hall, the circus continued to be popular, right up until its last performance in 1981. This show was still under the control of George Lockhart, and the circus was always a top attraction, especially during the early 1960s. The next day was a bank holiday as the stock cars battled it out for glory on the track. The 1960s started off reasonably well for the Belle Vue Gardens, with increasing attendances resulting from the continued investment by the new owners since 1956.
Once more the world goes by without a care. Here I stand with a land, fantasy with you. I remember once again the lights of my Belle Vue, the laughter and the smiling eyes, the wonder that is you. Thanks for all those memories, Belle Vue. Yes, I remember days of my Belle Vue. I hear a voice from over there, buy a ticket if you dare, climb aboard the bus and fly with me. The water chutes is right behind, take a seat, give me a try, it waits to take the breath away from me. Circus came to town today. We stand and watch the big parade, the chimpanzees, the clowns, and all the show. There's another circus made of fleas. Tell me how they do that, please. The greatest show on earth there's ever been. Here I stand with a land, fantasy with you. Once again, the lights of my Belle Vue, the laughter and the smiling eyes, the wonder that is you. Thanks for all those memories, Belle Vue. Yes, I remember.
New attractions were still being introduced. The veteran car ride was located on the former site of the Enchanted Gardens and was very popular. The track cost £500 to install, and the 5 Model T Fords cost some £375 each. Each of the cars had an appropriate registration plate, some reflecting the neighbouring zoo. A few local pop groups had a ride too, including Wayne Thomas and the Tonics. Belle Vue Gardens saw a number of huge fires during the 1950s and 1960s. This fire in October 1963 destroyed the House of Nonsense and 3 adjoining buildings. By a miracle, this was captured on film by a visitor. So it's the end of another week for the city of Manchester. It's Friday, it's 5 o'clock, and the arduous journey to and from work has come to an end. For the hard-working dockers, too, it was time to relax.
Well, here we are, Manchester Docks. We'll start discharging here tonight.
Well, right on time, eh, Harry boy?
Yep.
Be out on the bright lights of Manchester tonight.
Day, the Hunters Lane turnstiles are clicking away as Speedway fans queue up to watch their track heroes. For just 3 and 6pence, you could come along and watch the Aces and gain free admission into the gardens after the racing. Speedway was then enjoying something of a revival with the amalgamation of the national and provincial leagues, forming the new British League. Crowds were flocking back to Speedway in their thousands. On this day, the Aces were fighting it out against the Leicester Lions in a league clash. The Aces team included household names like Tommy Roper, Norman Nevitt, Cyril Maidment and Sandor Levi. However, this match left a sour taste in the mouth of the fans, as the referee had to fine Tommy Roper £3, 10 shillings and 6pence for fighting in the pits. Ray Wilson being on the receiving end. Roper claimed he was provoked by this brawl. Others saw it that he was cold and calculating as he laid into the defenceless Wilson. And now for more of your memories. These are from Lynn Fryer, a local customer care officer who was able to write poetry, some of which was published.
Lynn, you've got some special memories of Belle Vue, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I've got lots of brilliant memories of Belle Vue. And I've written a poem as well, which was written at the time of the closure of Belle Vue in 1982. I'd like to read the poem out.
Right, please do, yeah.
Okay. The King's Hall, you've seen them all. The glittering stars of the glam rock age have all played upon your stage. The screaming fans and the great rock bands, you thought they'd never end. They'll remember you forever and all their love they send. But we've got bad news for you today. King's Hall, you're in the way. You've got to go. It's sad, I know. We're sorry, it's the end of the show.
Lynn, that was a lovely poem. The world's top rock groups, you know. So what groups were we talking about then in those days?
Well, we're talking about Gary Glitter, which was my favourite. He played there twice in 1973, 1974. Yeah. T-Rex played there, the Bay City Rollers, and all these glam rock stars played there. I can't remember who played there, but everybody must have played there at the time. And the Amusements played there. They came over from America and they toured there and played in 1973. Yeah. There was full house.
Yeah. There were rumours going around Manchester that when the Amusements turned up, all the schools were shut down. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah. Most of our class were there. I remember the day when they were there and there was only a few people left in the class. Yeah. everybody was there, yeah.
What was so special about some of these groups, about the Osmonds particularly, you know, they seemed to be really popular.
Yeah,
like Osmond Mania, wasn't there?
Oh yeah, Osmond Mania. All sorts of mania going on there, yeah. Everyone played at the King's Hall. And everyone remembers the King's Hall, like all the glam rock stars. They've always got fond memories of Belle Vue. They all remember it. You know, it's such a great building, and everyone remembers the place. You know, like the fun fair and all that.
Yeah, I mean you've got some family film of the Osmonds, which is quite remarkable, with fans fainting and problems at the turnstiles and so on. I mean they were very popular, packed out, weren't they?
Oh yeah, yeah, they were. Yeah.
Right. Well, let's have a look at some family film in a moment.
Okay.
The Osmonds arrive in England. Manchester is gripped by Osmond mania. Schools are disrupted. Exams cancelled as Belle Vue prepares for a chaotic day. Belle Vue in the 1960s and 1970s was an established stopping point on the UK's entertainment circuit, with many rock and pop concerts taking place in either the new Elizabethan suite or the King's Hall. But on this day, things are getting out of hand behind the scenes.
Is that Tony? Tony, have you any idea what time the security is supposed to report here to the King's Hall?
Over here. Get them now while they last. They're going fast. It's a gap. Once you have the right change, I don't make any change. I have no...
As the decade was drawing to a close, it was becoming apparent that Manchester, as a city, needed a large exhibition hall. The decision as where to build this, either in Belle Vue or the old central station, was a crucial moment in the garden's history.
In the late 60s, of course, there was the question as to whether there should be a large exhibition hall in Belle Vue or possibly elsewhere. What are your views on that?
Well, the corporation wanted a bigger exhibition hall for Manchester. Neither the Belle Vue Company nor Manchester Corporation could actually agree on what was required, and their ideas never quite matched. And eventually the issue became a bit of a political hot potato, with the Conservatives in favour of developing Belle Vue and the Labour Party being opposed to it. And the Labour Party, when Central Station closed in 1969, eventually decided that that's where the large-scale exhibition facilities for Manchester should be located. Of course, it took another 15 years for that idea to be actually put into practice when GMEX was opened in the 1980s.
The GMEX Centre, as we know it today, could so easily have been built on the Belle Vue site and may well have survived into the next millennium.
Of course, it's quite possible that if a large exhibition hall had been built at Belle Vue, the chances of it surviving would have been that much greater.
And now it's back to the stock car racing. The Hyde Road Stadium was an ideal venue, and many of the World Championship finals took place here, often in front of a 25,000 capacity crowd. Top drivers included Will Harrison and Rochdale's Stuart Smith. Occasionally, the odd speedway rider would have a go. Here we have Chris Morton of the Aces. But all was not well with the rest of the gardens, as the decline was beginning to set in. The scenic railway in the background was a shadow of its former glory days.
Then along came the zoo closure in 1977, and it appeared there was a mass protest about it, but that wasn't quite the case, was it?
Well, of course, the closure of Belle Vue took place over a number of years. The zoo itself closed in 1977, amusement park in 1980, the other facilities in the year or two after that. When the zoo itself closed, there was some protest, but it was comparatively muted. There were some proposals to form a zoological society to take over the zoo, but nothing really came of this. When the proposal came in 1980 to close the entirety of Belle Vue, there was quite a substantial protest. A couple of action groups were formed, one of which was essentially to form another development company to take over the site and reopen it in some form or another. Eventually, a 50,000 name petition was put forward and referred to the local authorities. However, it all came to naught.
But the future remained uncertain. Despite this, world records were still being achieved, including a remarkable story from the water chute ride. Former Methodist minister Peter Schofield endured a 41-hour marathon on the ride to raise money for a local charity cause.
Many eyes have seen in my world, generations stood in line. So take my hand as we remain
expect going back on the old water chute ride brings back a few memories for you.
Yes, it's nearly 20 years now since I broke the record, and this is really the first time that I've been on one since.
And has the ride changed very much now it's here at Blackpool, of course?
It's very, very similar. One thing that I did notice is that they had the safety bar. They have an extra safety bar in there, which really rests against your stomach. And, you know, I think you feel a lot safer, really. And also, they now have a break at the end of the ride. At Belle Vue, they've tended not to do that, but you rumble round the corner very quick. Here they slow you down at the bottom, and therefore makes it a little bit easier, I think.
Now, this world record attempt, how did it all sort of come about? What was the story behind it?
Well, in the early 70s, you know, I came to Manchester in 1972, and my task really was to set up a drug, alcohol-free youth club in the centre of Manchester, just off Piccadilly, at the bottom of the central hall there. And I maybe have 300 or 400 youngsters coming there every week. And one particular evening, and I shall never forget it, on a Friday night, there must have been 150, 200 youngsters in there, and this young lady came in and really threw me a challenge. She said, you know, I've got permission from Belle Vue to do the water chute record, and here I am, because you're a minister, we think you're a bit soft and that kind of thing. You know, I've come to challenge you, really. And so the first bout, I think, was about 28 hours. And we called it a draw after that, really. We'd been on it for 28 hours, and neither was going to give in, and we could have gone on for a very long time. So the 40-odd hours, that came afterwards. That Belle Vue rang me up one day, and they said, would you like to have another go, really, at the world record? And I needed some money for my church in Hume, and therefore it was a good way of raising money and also, in a way, giving publicity to Belle Vue.
Yeah. Now, I've been on the water chute ride myself. I mean, you get fairly wet through on it if you go on it once, but you must have gone on it over 800 times. So how do you want the clothing, for example?
Well, very fortunately, and I've forgotten the name of the company now, that they were bringing out a waterproof jacket, and they wanted us to test it, really. And they gave me this blue jacket that tightened everywhere, and really was an excellent piece of equipment. I've only thrown it away about 2 years ago, something like that, because I've used it many, many times, and you know, it was a good thing.
Yeah. Now, of course, you've done parachute jumping, and you've walked across the country from John O'Groats to Land's End. How does the water chute ride world record compare with those other things?
Well, the water chute ride really was endurance, that you had to set your mind, and in a way, if I'd have wanted to do, I couldn't do this because I knew that I'd got to go to a wedding at a certain time on Saturday afternoon. I think I set off on Thursday, and I knew that by 12 o'clock on Saturday I'd promised that I would go to this wedding. Maybe I could have gone on, but it was endurance, really, staying awake, and I just thank God for people who came just to cheer me on a little bit, and that was it. But the parachute jump was the most frightening thing I've ever done in my life. To get out into the air, you know, and let that air blow against your face, and then to jump back into nowhere, that was really frightening. And the Land's End to John O'Groats, really, that was very pleasurable. To see the country.
We're here in a water chute ride, clatter underneath us here. I mean, to go on that ride for 41 hours, I mean, how did it affect you afterwards? What sort of state were you in, and how do you go for work and stuff?
Well, you know, that I've had a new heart transplant. I'm not saying that was the reason for it, but according to the doctors, that we're on a kind of a swivel, and therefore, you know, my body would react. And the worst bit was really the bend at the bottom.
Yeah.
You know, that really did shake me up. But I had no ill effects. I went to the wedding, and I joined in the wedding, and they tell me, because someone had to take me home, really, that I fell asleep over my lunch. I never really got that lunch, and went to bed, and then continued to work on Sunday.
Yeah. Of course, you went on this ride through the night as well.
Two nights.
Yeah. Was it impossible to go to sleep on the...
Impossible, no good. That your mind had to be alert, And I suppose because I'm a workaholic, I had time to do a lot of thinking, but to spend Thursday night and Friday night, you know, on that, I suppose when you're nearly 60, you look back and you think, well, you know, I've done it, and would I do it again if I could throw life again?
Yeah.
But it was good fun, and sometimes in life, you know, we have to have these things, and some people might say it was an ego trip. Other people thought that it was a challenge. The main reason I did it really was to raise money for a luncheon club in Hume, or it would have closed down.
Have you got any plans now, Peter, you know, your 10 years to break any more world records?
I don't know what the heart transplant record is. I think there is a man who has lived maybe to had it for 17, 18, 19 years. Yeah. And I suppose, and this would be silly of me, but they did say in the beginning that it would last 10 years. I've had my heart 9 years now, and I would really like to break the record for heart transplants. You know, that I would like to live until I'm 160 or something like that.
The model village, the finest in Europe, ripped apart by the bulldozers. The dance halls, the King's Hall, reduced to rubble. The animal enclosures, the zoo, gone forever. The famous stadium, its history, the great events, great matches, nothing more now than nostalgia.
So now we come towards the end of another nostalgic look at the Belle Vue Zoological Gardens. I hope you very much enjoyed it. Now, one or two rumours circulating around council corridors that we could have a new permanent amusement park built possibly here in Debdale Park, which is a couple of miles away from the old site. Now, Debdale Park is between about 30 to 40 acres, and it's quite impressive. There's various different leisure activities. There's a sailing club here, boating, yachting. A lot of local schools use the yachting lake here. There's also tennis, pitch and putt, and there's a small animal collection as well. Now, the whole idea, of course, is to bring an amusement park back here to this part of Manchester. Some of the old Belle Vue rides, like the Bobs, the Scenic Railway and the Shoot the Rapids, could be risen from the ashes. Now, whether all this comes off or not remains to be seen, but it's certainly a brave and perhaps emotional response from the council. But one thing's for sure, no matter what's done here, it'll never quite be the same. You see, there'll never be another Belle Vue Gardens.
If ever I turn the page of life, I recall passing years like they were only yesterday. Whenever I get time to breathe, I recall memories of days of yesteryear. So many a memory fades to the corners of my mind. I can always It's good to remember how we spent those years gone by. Then I live again, remembering moments spent with you. Whenever I feel the need to leave, present for the past, I return into my mind. Should ever I lose the things I see from the depths of memory, it'll be the end of me. Though many a memory fades to the corners of my mind, I can always recall this place, the ties that bind. It's good to remember how we spent those years gone by. Then I live again, remembering moments spent with you. As long as I have the strength to see the visions of the past, the moving pictures show to me the joy and the laughter, said goodbyes, achievements and desires, those special memories. Though many a memory fades to the corners of my mind, I can always recall this place, the ties that bind. It's good to remember how we spent